Okay, so I apologize right now. So yeah, my recording software did the stream didn't go off, so I'm just gonna go through some stuff. Specifically, this is for Mech and Nick. So for you guys, I'm just gonna go through pretty much exactly the examples where I went with your guys' mistakes, which were pretty much the big ones, especially with cooldown discipline, right? So I'm gonna explain everything I can as fast as possible and in ways that hopefully you can understand, right? So this first point, how you're gonna be approaching this, you're up against a double shield, right? Now your comp entirely plays to stage, and to stage you kind of have to use as few CDs as possible because while they're poking you, their goal is to force out your CDs, right? Now, if you all stack right here at this corner, 3, 2, 1, go through here, you shouldn't have a problem. Even at the highest level, you tend to be able to survive that. Overwatch League level, sometimes they find ways around it. They find ways to get kills still, but still, that's against what you're in Harmony tier. As long as you stack and you count down and you go with DM, you should only need DM, right? So immediately, this isn't great. You don't want to play to this right side. That's only because you're crossing more distance. In general, it would honestly at this point be better to go the whole way around, just walk, because at least then you're avoiding this spam. And the longer you are in their LOS, the more value they get. And if you're looking at them and they can see you, then they can shoot you, and they're getting value, and you're just not getting value at all, right? So you want to be stacking left side, and this is a pretty big mistake because you guys have to walk further. Mech, you're going to take some more poke. You're going to get rocked. You wouldn't have been rocked if you were stacked on your team and you were through. You end up getting trapped. That's pretty unlucky. D.Va doesn't need the body block here, so Arnie's just going to lose Mech. At this point, Baby D.Va should die. Just suicide, and you guys should get out because you can't go in without D.Va. But instead, you sit around in this room, and it's going to get you. They're just going to kind of pinch you and make your life a living hell. Okay. So you finally get your mech back. Okay. So at this point, once you've staged and you are all stacked exactly like this, you are good to go. Now, there are a few key abilities that you need to secure a good engage, right? You need Monkey's Bubble, Monkey's Jump. So you need Bubble, you need Jump. You need Genji's Dash. You need D.Va's Boosters and DM. So you need Boosters, which would be like the kind of rocket thing. And then, of course, that's the DM. You need Genji's Dash. You need Lucio's Speed. So his Amp, his E. And then you need Moira's Fade, as well as Orb. Right? You need all of those abilities. If you don't have them, it's going to be a deficit straight off the bat. So what the enemy team is essentially trying to do is force these out before you can engage. If they succeed in doing that, then they've won, right? Or at least they have an advantage. All right, so you guys push in. You have your DM. You have your speed. You're walking in. You play it slow for a second. You bubble. Okay. First thing, with this comp, you need to play really aggressive, right, Mech? I'm not talking like, I know in normal rush, this bubble is actually better. This bubble is better in normal rush. This is not normal rush. This is called into the whole way in. Like you should be here, and your bubble should be here, and you need to trust your team to help you live. You have Cole. You should be fine. It doesn't matter if you're here or if you're here. You're still going to get healed. You're still going to be fine, and you just get more value because at that point it forces them to look at you, or it forces them to look at your entire team who play entirely for their first engage and want to get as much value as fast as possible. This does not play in any sense slow. Or for ultimates. It does play for ultimates, but fight to fight. So it's not like you wait around and you play slow for ultimates. No, you're either in or you're out, and then when you have ults for the next fight, you plan around those ults and you go hard with them immediately, right? So here, that bubble didn't get a lot of value, and okay, your cold is pretty good though. This is fine. You keep going. Just keep jumping even further. See, this is the kind of jump that's good. This is pretty good. This is about where I want you to be. You could probably go a little further, but for the most part, look at that. This is the kind of bubble you need to hit every single time against an Orisa comp, right? One that splits them and allows your team to just go on them, okay? And it provides your team more protection too, because your team, again, plays entirely for their first engage. There's no such thing as a second bubble in your engage. Honestly, your goal should be to end the engage before you even get your bubble CD back. So you should expect that and think about, okay, is my bubble going to get value in a few seconds after I put it down, not just the second I put it down so that my team can walk a few meters and then they have to go through open space now to reach the Orisa. No, you want to place it here so that way your team can go in far enough and still get protection from the bubble when they're actually fighting the enemy team, right? Okay. So this second point was really difficult. And I know I was on open mic the entire time. It's hard. So first thing off, you don't really want to take any poke here. Just be careful. You don't really need to, like, you could just honestly skip that. So now you're stacked. Your tracer's set up over here. This is fine as long as you hide and you just wait for your team to be set up. You don't need to poke at all. Okay, so to get through this, again, you don't need anything but DM. And Nick, you're about to see your first mistake. Stop doing this. Do not fade. Do not fade. What the entire enemy, like, their goal is to force out your CDs on these rotations. You're doing that for them. You have a DM. I'm not sure why you don't trust the DM, but you do this constantly in any rotation on any map on Rush, right? You tend to just fade on cooldown. Sometimes you do it just to move around faster. You have to realize that that fade is your only source of escape, and you're going to see in a few fights exactly why it's really bad to waste your fade on that rotation, especially if you don't need it. So you're walking, you need to keep walking, keep going, don't get distracted. Andrew doesn't need to poke here, just keep going with mech. Okay, you need to get staged, keep walking. Okay, another big mistake. Nick, you're very, very risky with your CD, like, you just waste them. Why did you use orb before you engage? You know you're about to engage, you're basically staged at this point, but now you've lost your best source of burst healing so that you could top off your monkey. That's really bad. This orb right here follows you in. It is one of your most valuable engage tools, and you just lost it, right? So you need to think about the impact of using your CDs. You can just tap them a little bit with your juice, and honestly, if anything, your team should be trying to take as little poke as possible. In this case, your monkey only took a few shots. He can just, you know, you can top him off a little bit. Maybe even let your Lucio heal it. Okay, mech. So I'm going to talk a little bit, going on a bit of a tangent about something called Fuck the Monkey, which if you've seen the Natter video about ball comp and Rush, that kind of matchup, one of the main strategies to beat Rush is to bully the monkey, which is called fucking the monkey. And how you do that, and I'll just apply it to the Orisa comp. The Orisa comp wants to poke you out to force your abilities out, right? Two of your team's most valuable engage tools, which are your jump and your bubble, if they can force those out, you can't go. Your team can't go. You're full health right now, and you just used your bubble, right? What that means is that now your team can't properly engage. Again, your team, on their first engage, is going the whole way to here, likely. Even further, possibly. How much value is this bubble going to get? Who are you splitting? This Sig isn't even split. He's going to be split for half a second, right? He's just going to walk out of it, right? You barely split him. Bam, he's out. You split him for half a second. It's not worth it. You just fucked yourself. You are fucking your own monkey by using your CDs early. And again, this is the same idea with Nick using your orbs and you using your fades in the way you are, like really recklessly and just not really thinking about how you need them for your engage. If you use them like this, you don't have your solid one go engage. This comp plays for one engage, and if you don't have your tools for it, you're fucked. Unless you just play better than them. Like, otherwise, it's hard. You're making it very hard for yourself. And then you jump, right? Look at this. Look how perfect it would have been the bubble right here, right? This is absolutely a perfect jump, right? This is exactly what I want you to do now. Now, fair enough. Your team got distracted by a tire. Your team should be inting right now. You should be just going the whole way in, right? You don't need to be really preoccupied with the tire. But either way, this, like, how you play this here, you get so much value, right? You split, and then here, look, like, you actually managed to split them without the bubble. Instead, you're primal, but still, you can just do it with the bubble. Honestly, you're fine. Okay. So this fight is a loss. We're just going to skip through here. Again, trying to make this bridge, trying to make this fast. I just did the entire VOD review. I don't want to go through everything I went through before again. So here, okay. Do you need to hold space in this comp? No, you don't. And the fact is that without all 6 of you being alive, you don't do anything, right? Your Moira is coming back from spawn right now, right? Your Moira literally just spawned, okay? So did your D.Va. Your Moira and D.Va are in spawn. So what are you doing by holding space here? Because you have to remember, their entire comp plays for poking you out, building their ults that way, and getting their value out of that. If you see them, and they see you, you're doing it wrong. If you're not in their face and already engaging. Can you engage without Moira? No, so you should be the whole way back. Honestly, it's better just to go back to your spawn and hang out with your D.Va Moira and just regroup with them. And have your Lucio go there too, because you can speed them back and you get you actually save time, right? So you get more value. And in general, it's safer because you can't afford to hold this space. They're going to poke you out. They're going to push it up. Plus, if you bait them out, like you might say, well, then they can come out the Hoyer. If that's great. If they play the Hoy up here, then you punish them. You just run straight into them because they close the distance for you. You don't have to do any rotation, right? Like at that point, you're just baiting them in. Now, Andrew has Blade. He's going to feed here really, really hard. Yeah, you don't need to do any of that. And that's the kind of thing that applies to everybody. None of you should try and do that. I don't care if the Sig is out of position because it doesn't matter. Because realistically, he's actually smart because he realizes your Moira's dead. You can't do anything. You can't. Where do you think you're going? As Monkey, you ain't doing anything. As D.Va, you ain't doing anything. So I don't know, like you can't go on this Sig. And I know it was called that he was out of position. Yeah, good luck trying to actually follow up on that without your team, right? And you end up having to wait longer for it. So you get punished. Okay. Again, disengage. Nick, you're going to make the same exact mistake. You do this constantly. Don't even tell me you don't do it. There you go. Same exact thing. You're still using DM. You're still counting it down. There's no excuse to be using Fade. And that goes for any situation. In general, you use Fade on cooldown. You don't need to. You should be saving your Fade for when you're going to die. And when you Fade, you tend to Fade in really bad positions. Fade to a corner. Okay? Always Fade to a corner. If you don't Fade to a corner, you will die after your Fade. So those are 2 really important things. Okay. So you're going to be walking through here. Again, you throw your heal orbits to try and heal your Tracer, but you're wasting it here, and now you have to wait for it to actually get any value. Okay. Andrew, again, kind of pokes around and pays for it because, again, this comp, right, it's discipline. It's entirely discipline. You just don't look at them. You don't have to look at them, right? And Andrew was there for the live thing, so obviously I've gone through a little bit more detail with the Genji stuff, but, you know, at this point, you just give up the fight, right? Because once you're down a member with this comp, especially when it's your win condition, you plan it, you're like, okay, yeah, just die. Just die. Honestly, just run into them and die and maybe try and get trades and force their ults. Like, that might even be an option. I honestly wouldn't mind you doing that. Just saying, okay, well, we lost a player, fuck it, let's all int and die. Because if you know they have all the, and that's a higher level play, but if you know they have all the ults, then you can pull that shit. It's funny, but yeah, you can do it. You can scare the shit out of them, and then you have your blade and everything. Maybe you can win the fight. I don't know, but it's unlikely. You probably just force their ults, and now you just drag on a fight, which you're gonna lose. Okay. So now you get out. Mech get the whole way out. Mech get the whole way out. You're putting your team in danger again. Why hold this space if you get no value out of it? In fact, you're putting your team in danger by them having to play here, and they can possibly take angles on you and you die. At a higher level, I guarantee you the enemy team, they're just going to push up and pinch you, and their Tracer's going to bully you, and you're going to die. That's what would happen to me, and it's if you ever want to play against good players, it's going to happen to you. So keep that in mind. You can't play like that. You don't need to be there. And that's a thing with players at this level in general. They tend to do things because they feel like they're getting value by being closer to the enemy team or seeing them, but you're not. In fact, by just being completely out of their range, you're wasting their time. You're not wasting your time. So you don't need to be here at the end of the day. Just stick with your Lucio. You're walking with them anyways. I don't know what time you're trying to save. Why? Why are you fading here? Why would you fade away from your team? Why did you fade in general? Why were you even peeking? Right? Like, just reckless CD usage. Okay. Don't fade. Please. Okay. So now you're walking. Now you're walking. Okay. Walking as a team. Now you do it again. Now, guess who saw you do that? Tracer. Your buddy right here. Now, when a Tracer sees people wasting their CDs like that, especially one who has 1% of a brain and has a pulse bomb, you know what's going to happen. And it's going to be a pulse bomb, right? Let's just watch it. Yep. That's entirely your fault. The only people on your team who should ever die to a pulse this early would be your Lucio or your Genji. Your Genji and Lucio are both very, especially Genji is a very difficult target to pulse. Lucio is a very difficult target as well. He's probably the easiest to kill out of everybody, but Lucio still has speed. He can get away. It would really have to be a direct stick. On top of that, Genji has deflect, so it's kind of scary to throw a pulse bomb straight into Genji. So really, it's really just your Lucio that needs to look out for things like that. Now, obviously, your D.Va needs to be on guard for plays like that, but still, you can't put that on your D.Va. That's entirely your fault. I'm sorry, but you should have Fade. You should have lived. And again, stop doing this. Stop doing that. It's really bad. Okay. And here, you have to get out now. Your team, once you lose your Moira, again, you play entirely for your first engage, right? The second you're forced out like this, which this should never happen, you have Fade. You should your Moira should never die like that. You just need to get out. Arnie just decides to feed instead, which is a weird play. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but, you know, whatever. Just get out, just get out, just get out, just get out. Yeah. Like, in this comp, again, if you're kiting out, if you're getting out, you get the whole way out, and you don't daddle. You don't mess around. There's no, like, I'm gonna get my ult real quick. No. You're charging 10 of their ult, like, you're charging all of their ults while you charge a little bit of yours, so just don't do it. Okay. So, this next fight, Arnie makes the decision to try and send you guys right side, which is pretty smart. When you're right side, it plays better for Blade. It plays better overall when you have, like, a lot of ults, especially D.Va Bomb and Blade. Those two in particular play really well for that position. Okay. So, see, they're playing really far up, too, and you can actually punish this if they stayed here. Obviously, they do kite back a little bit, but still, you know, you could probably run over this. Honestly, like, where they are now, since I told you guys to play really far back, you could probably run it through main and punish them. I wouldn't recommend it entirely, though, because it's risky. I say going right side is just fine, which in this case, yeah, you need to walk. You waste jump. It's a waste of CDs. Again, okay. You managed to entirely fuck your monkey. You played fuck the monkey to yourself. You managed to waste not only your jump, by just covering a small amount of distance to catch up with your team, which I get it. It'll happen. Walk. You have legs. You do not need to be a leapfrog, and if you be a leapfrog, then you don't have your jump for when you want it. And then you just used your bubble, right? Like, honestly, when you wasted your jump back here, you should just tell your entire team to get out, because at that point you can't engage and you're taking poke, right? And then they can actually force out your bubble. But they didn't even need to shoot you. They didn't hit you once, and you bubbled. You're getting no value out of that. Now, you win this fight pretty much out of pure mechanics and ult difference. And I will say, the big takeaway with just all of Loki, right? All of you, is your mid fight is strong. It is incredibly strong. But your staging and overall setup and, like, getting to the point where you can actually engage is the worst. It is really bad. And you need discipline. CD discipline in particular. The best words of advice I can give. First of all, never make a rotation alone. Use D.Va DM. Do you need anything other than D.Va DM? No, you just need D.Va DM. Now, do you need to use your Fade on rotations? No, you don't. You should really do everything you can to save your Fade, and you go out of your way to try and use it in every way possible. And stop fading. Just stop fading as much. And I want you to look back on your gameplay and think about each fade, Nick. If you can, just go back into a VOD, not this one, but a different one. Maybe Li Zhang or something like that, where you play Moira. And think about if that fade was really needed. And if you could have used it a few seconds later when you didn't have it because of that fade. And Mech, stop winning. Stop providing the enemy team with their win condition for them. You're winning the game for them. You're executing a strategy to beat Rush to yourself. It's odd. It's really odd. Like you just by default press the E button the second you see the enemy team. Stop. Get out of the habit of it right now. Same with your jump. You need to be careful and you need to understand that those tools are engaged tools. If you waste them, then you are winning the game for them. And that's just a fact, like, right? Like, their comp has no peel or anything. They don't even have a break. You shouldn't be scared at all. Either way, with this comp, you can't afford to be scared. You have to, and you have to trust your team. That's just a matter of how it is. And sometimes you will die. Just like on Jetpack, in that match against Jetpack Hacks, when you inted into that Torb Brig, you died. But guess what? Your team won that fight. And the reason your team won that fight is because you inted, you bubbled them off, and you split them, and your team got value out of that bubble. That team got value out of that jump. That team got value out of your cleave. I don't care if you die. You just need to trust in your team to do the rest, right? The hardest way you can carry is just to carry your CDs. Be careful and engage at the right time with your entire team. And if you can be an IGL and say, okay, once you're at this wall, 3, 2, 1, go, and you int, your team will go. But you need your team to be on the same page. You need to force your team to say, hey, come with me, come with me, come with me. Stage, stage, stage. 3, 2, 1, go. Right? Easy as that. Okay? That's the best advice I can give for you. Nick, again, orbs as well, not just your fades. Keep in mind your orbs. I see you damage orb right before a fight as well. A lot of the time, you should only damage orb when in the poke phase, when you know you'll have your orb back for mid-fight. When you're for the initial engage, where all of you are inting, you should have your orb. If you don't have your orb, you're doing something very wrong. You're using your orb at an incorrect time, okay? If you need to let your Lucio top off your team, let your Lucio top off your team. You don't even have to waste piss sometimes, right? In some cases, yeah, you'll have to waste a little bit, but it's fine. Again, I think you did focus a little too much on damage in some cases. You still, like, once you switch, you switch from healing to damage, and you never really, like, switch back and forth very often. It's like you're either doing one thing or the other. Try and multitask a little bit better and be more aware of your team. Again, I know I gave you that advice on Sunday, but it's something to focus on Tuesday as well, right? So that's everything I have for this VOD review. Thank you for listening and spending the time looking at this. I do have other stuff from other maps I did want to go over, but I wanted to leave this one a little short so you can digest the information I gave you. And we'll look at everything Tuesday and keep improving and keep working on, like, stuff like ult tracking, setting up, using your ults early. That's one of the big things. Use your ults early. You define the fight. You do not play how the enemy team's tempo. You play your tempo. You define everything, right? That's the best way you can play your rush. That's how you win. That's how you are a top team, right? And the second you get through that planning kind of like engagement stage of a fight, and you get to the mid fight, and you aren't at a major disadvantage, you win, because you are better than the enemy team most of the time. You are better than this team. As long as you make it past those rotations real quick and you all engage as a team. The second after that initial engage, as long as it's not bad and you don't waste your CDs, you win. Because you counter them and you're better than them. All right. Thank you for listening.